A funny thing happens when you bond with like-minded individuals in pursuit of a common goal. You've likely heard it said that we are the average of the 5 people with whom we spend the most time. Now, it's not suggesting you're influenced only by these 5 close people, but that you are an average of them because we tend to enjoy spending time with people who are like us. More likely than not, those 5 people are probably more like you than they are different from you. So we spend almost every Friday night with a group of nerds who think sitting around talking about money is more fun than just about anything else. We look forward to it. It makes us giddy. If the idea of getting together with a group of close friends talking freely and non-judgmentally about financial principles sound appealing to you, you're in the right place. These financial principles can be applied and understood by anyone in any situation. The concept starts with the idea of gamifying your finances, setting up the board, having fun playing, and eventually reaching financial independence. The kind of freedom that would let you walk away from any kind of obligations and live comfortably for the rest of your life. My name is James Hammer, and I'm an award-winning educator, director, and content creator, and I'm here to share what I've learned to help you and your partner get on the same page and both be successful in your journey toward financial independence. Since the fall of 2022, my wife and I have joined with a handful of others in a small group led by finance expert Steve Campbell. Steve and his wife Jen have opened their home almost every Friday night and have passionately and painstakingly taken our group of financial misfits, bonded together by their desire and willingness to improve their understanding of financial best practices, to not only eliminate debt, but to take tangible, actionable steps toward building wealth that will eventually give you the freedom to walk away from traditional income-earning employment into the world of financial freedom. You've been invited to join us for a series of conversations recorded in the home where we meet and spread out into digestible broadcasts both on YouTube and where you stream your podcasts that explore not only the broad range of financial concepts like debt reduction, wealth building strategies, retirement accounts, and Social Security benefits, but time or money-saving hacks and the options for creating multiple streams of income that don't require your full-time presence. Everybody can play the game. Everybody can win the game. Welcome to the Game of 5, because money shouldn't be such a mystery. What would you say now, both you and Jen, Steve, what would you guys say? I mean, how do you feel like this group has responded in terms of, you had expectations kind of when you started and what you thought it was going to be. If you look at the group now, a year and a half into that, and every time I say that, I get excited because that means we have at least a year and a half of content here. Right. And then as we continue to grow, there'll be more stuff that we'll add. So we've got plenty of stuff to be able to share in this broadcast long term, which is very, very exciting. But how do you feel now about kind of where those expectations were, what has changed in terms of your vision for this group, but what has kind of been what kind of expectations have been met, and have they been exceeded? Where do you, if you were to take the temperature of this process now, and what you really started out as a desire to sort of educate others about this FI process and kind of getting to that point, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about how the group has gone and where we've gone and where we're headed? Just give us sort of lay a little bit of vision as far as what you see now for us down the road.
Going forward. So Jen and I may approach this a little bit differently because of our different expertises. I'm a finance guy. Mm-hmm. She's a relationship, and she really enjoys the community. Right. And you asked both of us this question. I'll let Jen, if you don't mind, I'll let you answer how you see our group, moving forward.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
First of all, Jen, has the group, you may have had completely different expectations than Steve did coming into the group initially, and we really haven't talked about like your specific expectations. If you want to share kind of what you were thinking and then kind of how those expectations have been met or where you feel like they are in the process, share a little bit of that with us.
I don't know that I actually had any formal expectations for the group when we started. I know this is more his wheelhouse.
Right.
Obviously, I've come along for the ride and I've grown and learned. I think maybe at the rate, maybe a little more, just because we live together.
Right.
Absorb all this information,
Right.
and then I'm also the type that I really like to latch on and learn things. And so, like, I took like a snapshot of my bookcase. I'm a book person. I love reading physical books.
Right.
Because I'm a very visual person, and that helps me. And I've dived into all the, I don't know if you want to call it literature, but a lot of the books that are out there on finance. The Millionaire Mind, Think and Grow Rich, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. What is it? The Richest Man in Babylon. I'm trying to think. There's so many different books and stuff that you can read, and then
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
For me, I personally started doing. I keep CNBC as one of my apps that I tend to look at every day because they have really good articles on finances and things that you just don't even think about. And so I think just naturally out of the group, from our conversations and then with people, and then really wanting to make sure I understood things as well to the best of my ability.
Right.
It's been like a crash course in education, which I'm fine with because I like to learn.
Right, yeah.
And I think it's also because I'm more on the end of probably most of the group members where I don't have as much knowledge as, because Steve's just been doing this a really long time, I can, I don't know if you want to say slow it down a little bit sometimes, because he can go fast sometimes. He gets caught up in his knowledge and everything that he knows, and goes really quick, and sometimes I'm like, all right, I need you to unpack that a little bit right now.
Yeah.
I don't understand that term, or maybe other people don't understand that term. I think I did that the other night a few times. I was like, oh, so explain that a little bit.
Right.
Because we don't all remember everything. There's so many different terms, and if you're not consistently in it, it's easy to forget. Right. And I think the biggest thing for me that I like moving forward is just the community part of our group. Honestly, it's great that everyone is learning, and I think we're all learning together. And I think that's a big part of it. And it's just like any kind of community that you're a part of, because there are always more things to learn, and the world is always changing. So we don't know what things that we're going to have to, what other, what are they, hacks, things that we're going to need to put in our back pocket, things that we're going to learn, things that are going to change, that we are now going to have to pivot and see how that works. And having that community, that bigger knowledge base, because he doesn't know everything. He knows a lot.
Right, yes. Well, that's one of the things that amazes me listening to Steve talk, is he just moves from topic to topic the same way I do when I talk about creative things. And that's why that revelation on Friday night was that you talk about finances the same way that I talk about creative process. And that's why it makes so much sense to me, because of all the things I can really key into your passion, and your passion speaks to me. It speaks my language. And that's what's the cool thing about it,
I thought about that too earlier when we were talking about that, because I think passion is something that people trust. You know what I mean? I think it builds a trust factor. But I can understand passion. I get passionate about things, and you know how you are when you're passionate about something, right? And so when you see that passion coming from someone else, I think it's an automatic almost trust that can be built. Because you see it and you identify with it, and you're like, I get that. And so that, I think that lends to a trust factor. I think that the way that you speak about finances is able to reach more people than maybe you think you do, is because of that. But going back to moving forward with the group, for me, I think it really is even more so about community and getting even more of that knowledge base, that understanding, or I don't know, understanding is the right word, but repeating myself, the knowledge base.
Right.
That
Yeah.
other people are able to learn and find out and even challenge us with, because there are some things that we've changed
Oh, absolutely.
and how we've done things because of the group.
Right.
Which is, I mean, it's just great. And,
Yeah.
and it points back to, like, us as a Christian community, right? You know, we're not meant to do this on our own.
Right. Doing life together. It is so rare. We've talked about this a couple of times, the fact that, my wife and I have really only had one instance in the church where we've been in any kind of situation like we're in with you guys now, where we are in this group. And it is very fulfilling to be doing life with these people. Just to know that if I need something, I can reach out in this group and say, hey, this is what's happened. Can somebody, can I get some help? And people will be there. People will respond. And people, as we've seen, will drop everything and come over and help. And I mean, that is such a rare gift to have a group of people who understand that we're in this together. We are so much better together than we are apart. In terms, but yet we still have our own, our identities and all. But to be in a group like this, where literally it's not just a saying when you say I'm going to pray for you. It's not just a saying when you're saying, "Can I help you? I will come over and help you." Like literally right now, drop everything, come over and help you. So I understand, Jen, just how valuable that community is, because it does not happen everywhere, and it does not happen often.
No.
And to be in a group like this, where you really honestly feel like, I mean, if we spent the rest of our life hanging out with you folks, we would be A-okay with that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a rare gift. It really
We
is.
certainly, Jim, we feel the same way.
It's been humbling.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I will tell you, I am not a people person.
Yeah.
I can sit in front of the group on Friday, and I can talk finance because I love finance, not because I love being around people.
Right.
But this group is different.
Right.
And this group has changed me. I purposefully do not have friends. By design, I find it very difficult to make friends, mainly because of my past. We all bring baggage, right?
Right.
And in my past, I had a lot of rejection, a ton of rejection. I don't need that in my life. It hurts. It's painful, and I realize that, and so I've put up those barriers and those walls and say, you know what, I'm not going to put myself in that position anymore.
Right.
But the emotional side of this, the community side of this group, the Gamify, is just as important as the knowledge that we take out of the discussions. And I have to be in a number, as a logic-driven person, a non-emotional guy. I still have to acknowledge that. When you say that we'll drop everything, I laugh at that because I know that that's true.
Yeah.
I know. I travel all the time. Like every other week, I'm on the road.
Yeah.
Love my job, so I'm not going to quit.
Right.
But I've had times where, as soon as I get on an airplane, something is breaking. Quite literally, as soon as I got on an airplane, something in this house is breaking.
Right.
And Jen is like, okay, so how do I fix it? I'm not an expert in this. How do I get this fixed?
Right.
It's as simple as reaching out in our group,
Yeah.
and somebody's over here.
Somebody knows,
in our
somebody
heartbeat.
knows someone, or somebody has a little bit of expertise. At least you don't have to be dangerous and come over and break things worse.
and to touch on to touch on the mindset side of this, because I said this is a mindset.
Right.
It would be easy for me to say, hey Jen, just call up somebody to repair it. Call somebody, pay somebody. That's what they get paid to do. We're okay financially, just pay it.
Right.
But the mindset in the Gamify is different, totally different. The mindset in the Gamify is, can this be fixed or repaired in a more efficient manner than just calling and paying somebody to do it?
Right.
And we have a support group in our group. Now, if we can find somebody that has that knowledge, why not take advantage of it? If we don't and we have to pay somebody, okay. In one situation, we didn't have anybody in our group that could fix our AC problem and the wiring that was all messed up, but they happened to know somebody who was really good in this area and trustworthy.
Right.
And that saved us a ton of money.
Right.
by doing it and that's where the community comes
Right.
in.
It's almost like a really personalized Angie's List,
Yes,
where
that's exactly
where it's like,
what I was
yeah,
gonna
it's
say.
like you not only know
Yes.
that these people are good, you know people who've worked with these people,
Right.
and they know they're good, and so they'll make the recommendation, and so
Exactly.
that's very, very, very
And
cool.
I can see as this grows,
Yeah.
even if we're going virtual with it,
Right.
not just in our living room,
Right.
I can see that list of trusted contacts in various communities getting larger. But back to your question, for me, yes, community is important, and I acknowledge that, but that's not what I see when I'm moving forward with this group.
Right.
Clearly, that's part. I get that.
Right, right.
But what I see is a more finance-driven side of it. The original objective of the group doesn't change. The way in which the objective is met is changing dynamically. What I mean by that, the original objective of this group has always been to allow people to live their life doing what they value most. And that means get to financial independence and then know what you value. I mean, know what you're trying to reach 5 for.
Right.
That hasn't changed. But instead of one person sitting in front of a group of 14 or 16 people in the living room, I think now we can make this so much bigger.
Right.
Even if it's digitally, and really talk in much wider circles, and get the word out just that much quicker.
Yeah, even during our break, we took a short break in the recording process here, just so everybody can get up and move around a little bit and everything. But even you talking about the idea of putting this all set up in our actual group, and bringing the entire world into our group to see how this works, and to actually kind of be a remote part of the group. To
And
an extent,
interact.
yeah, and be able to interact, and so the idea, that's one of the things we're going to work toward targeting is being able to set this whole scenario, or set up this whole thing up during our group, and have the cameras faced in here, and let people out in the potential audience be able to interact with the group, or ask questions, or respond, and having somebody kind of monitoring that, and just doing a live feed with all this, because we can certainly do that. We certainly have the capabilities. So that'll be something that down the road, that once we figure out exactly how to get all those little things connected and do that, we'll definitely do that with the group. That'll be very exciting.
One thing, Jim, I wanted to say, I was thinking about, while Jen was responding to the previous question, I was thinking back to your last question and how I neglected to mention there are so many things that we're going to talk about and hit, but I kind of did broad topics. We're going to get into the weeds too.
Right.
Like Friday, we talked about, hey, somebody left their job. What do I do with my 401k?
Right.
Right? We're going to go through every option. There are 4 options. We're going to go through every option and what you have to consider when deciding which option is best for you.
Right.
Right? We're going to go in those details. We're going to educate you on the differences between, a retirement account that is tax deferred, and a retirement account like a Roth that you don't pay any taxes on down the road, and which one is best for you.
Right.
We'll get into the weeds and educate you on not only personal finance, which is important, but the world of investing, which is kind of the second half of the game of 5, which is also
once you get out of debt, then you can make those steps and increase your wealth, and that's exciting. It's an exciting place to go and to talk about. I think that laying this out, and I hadn't even thought about initially having live streams of the actual group, which I think is a great idea. I mean, honestly, inviting people here into your living room, inviting people in when the group is live, because that's so much of the benefit of the experience, is just that live interaction and hearing people share about their own experiences in relation to the topics you're talking about. Like I had said, I would not have ever bothered to look at my Social Security benefits and figure out how that works. I would have never looked at my teacher retirement stuff. I would have never done these things that now I have much more knowledge about what my life looks like after retirement, as opposed to I did just even 2 years ago, where I didn't have a clue, and I was just like most people, hoping it all works out, And so it makes a big difference having these things. And the thing that I think is also really important, and you hit on this when you're talking about these different things we're going to cover, is they're actionable points. They're actionable things. You're not just sharing some theoretical things that change your mind about how you think about money, but you're sharing actionable tasks that someone can do to get a grip on where all of their game pieces are and how they're set up, and know, not just guess, but know beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is where I'm starting the game and this is how everything's laid out. And now I know, actionably what my next step is. Now I know what my next step is. And so I think that's really been the benefit of a lot of what you've shared, is just really those just actionable things that we can do to get our debt eliminated, to get to the point where we can now start building a little bit of wealth.
Yeah, and Jim, you saying that does remind me, we have to make it clear, we're not dogmatic about anything we say.
Right.
This is the way you have to do it.
Yeah, it's not a one size fits all.
No.
Right.
No.
It's not possible.
We give you options.
Right.
You will know where I come from without a doubt. Everybody in the group on Friday knows where Steve comes from.
If I
He
were your
is
financial
big
advisor.
picture. Right. He will always think tomorrow. He will never think about today.
Right.
I'll always look at numbers and data.
Right.
It will never be about emotions for me.
Right.
Ever.
Right.
But you'll get that side.
Right.
It's not the right side for everybody. At least you'll have somebody that presents that option.
Right.
Somebody else in the group might actually have a different way to do that. Will it take longer in the game to reach 5? Probably, anytime you deviate from logic and data. But will it keep you in the game? Whereas that logic and data might make it miserable for you and you quit playing altogether.
Right.
Yeah, you have to at least consider that. So there are all kinds of options that are out there, and we're not dogmatic about any one approach.
Right.
Getting to the game to 5 and winning the game, that's all we all care about.
Right. That's very cool. Very good.
I would say too, just depending on where people are starting, their starting points, and plus like their own personal, it depends on the job you have, right? And where you're at with your finances. Everyone has a different starting point. Everyone has different options or whatever's available to them depending on the kind of job they have, for retirement buckets and stuff that they are able to contribute to. So no one's journey is going to look the same just because of that. Everyone, depending on the jobs and where you're at, everything that's available to you, it's going to be different.
Right.
Yeah.
Military versus teacher versus, government official versus someone who's in the mental health field or behavioral health field or someone who's an hourly wage worker, construction, whatever. It's all going to be different. And so there is no one path.
Right. But the system can be applied to every path. That's the great thing about it.
It's like any strategic game.
Right.
It's not Monopoly where we all start on go.
Right.
It's not. That's not a strategic
start with
game.
the same money.
And start with $1,500 and we're all going around and collecting all the properties because everybody knows how to play Monopoly and improve your chances of winning. But in a real strategic game, we're not relying on a roll of dice. We're actually relying on sound decisions that we have to make throughout that game. And in all those games that are real good strategic games, everybody starts a little bit differently. Everybody has skills that some other player might not have, but instead that player has other skills. Or they start on a different part of the board. And so that's a real strategic game. And in the game of 5, that's what we're looking at. Everybody has different skills that can allow them to get to 5. But it might be a different path. If we all took the same path in a game, everybody would memorize the strategy to win that game, and everybody would play the same game the same way every time, and that game would become quite boring. Strategic games aren't built that way. They're built so that every
time you play, it's a little bit different.
Exactly And the game of 5 is exactly
the same way.
And your endpoint might be a little bit different too, like your actual ultimate goal.
What I value.
Go back to the 3 values.
What I value might require X amount of money of passive income coming in to satisfy that lifestyle. Whereas what somebody else values might not require that much. but they still reach 5.
Right.
So yeah, you're absolutely right.
Definitely the goal. Very, very cool. Well, this has been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed spending this time with you all today. It feels like an extension of our Friday nights,
Right.
It's great. So, hopefully, not hopefully. The plan is definitely for us to get a regular schedule of broadcasts. So that I imagine what we have here will probably end up being a couple of different episodes, because we've got a lot of content here, a lot of great content. But I think anytime you're sharing exposition, it takes a little bit longer.
Right.
You want people to know the story. I firmly believe that story is everything. And you're really going to get people where the story is. And that's what's going to make the difference. And so we all have a story, but being able to explore this and explore the story of our finances together has been really a huge benefit for us. And so I just want to say, first of all, thank you all so much.
Oh,
And
thank you.
as we move forward, setting up in different, having different topics that we discuss and everything like that, I think that this curriculum and the things that we're going to share in this broadcast is going to be really a huge benefit to the people who realize that they need this. And so, the great thing is people decide that and they move forward, or they don't, and they don't.
Yeah,
So,
I think looking forward, I think our next topic that we obviously have to discuss is setting up that board.
right.
I mean, you can't do much in a game if you don't know how to set up the
Right.
board.
So that'll be I think our we'll first look at the first episode. The next episode, I guess, that we get into is going to be looking at how do you set up the board and really kind of starting that process. And it may take us a few episodes, but we'll get through it. And we're just looking at sharing this information to anybody who wants to learn a little bit more about how to play this game and how to get ahead in the game, and ultimately how to win the game.
There you go.
That's
Well,
the
we're
goal.
looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thank you both so much, and thanks to
Thanks,
Jordan for screen switching for us.
My IT guy.
Yeah, our technician behind the scenes. Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate it. And so we'll see you next time here on Game of 5.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks.
This brings our first conversation to a close here on Game of 5. But don't worry, there are plenty more to come. In our next conversation, Steve will go into much more depth on details involving setting up your game board, which starts with setting up a budget for your household. We know budget can be a dirty word because, let's face it, no one wants to be told what they can and can't do with their money. Please take the time to like, subscribe, and share this conversation with anyone you think might benefit from the discussion. We'll have conversation 2 queued up in no time. See you then.